Hey guys, it's Mrs. Sauce. I'm here to show you the lesson that you missed on 825. So, 824. So, last live Zoom we had was 824. And if you missed that Zoom, then you can go ahead and watch this video and I'll show you how to complete the assignments. There's not too much that we went over. I had told you guys to come up with one way that you could gather seeds and have that idea in your head before this lesson, and then we all shared out. I said make sure that your dream garden is submitted so we can review this and to be logged in on time. So students went on to Padlet, and this is where you're going to go to, just so I'll show you one more time in case you missed. Go down here and you're going to click on where can I find seeds Padlet. And then people had added examples of where you can find seeds. You can get them from apples, from fruit trees, from lemon trees. You can go to your backyard and get pods from your flower plants. You can get acorns to grow a new tree. You can grow beans. Those are actually seeds. You can use a potato. That doesn't even require seeds. You cut up the potato and you can plant those. Avocado, dandelions. So these are different places that you can get seeds. So you're going to go up here and you're going to press this circle, and then I'll add a new box for you to type in where you can locate some seeds around your home, yard, or neighborhood. So get that done first, and then the rest of this is just me showing you some examples of seeds that you can find around and ways that we can grow plants without even using seeds at all. So what I showed some of the students was our sweet peas. So we had a sweet pea plant over the spring, and they all dried up, and it left us with a whole bunch of awesome sweet pea seeds. So over the summer, all the sweet pea plants dried up and died, and they left us with all these seeds so we can plant these. And if you have sugar snap peas or sweet peas at home, or even green beans, when they dry up, you have those seeds, okay? So you're welcome to save those, or even if you have some that maybe you think, oh, these are going bad, maybe I should throw them away. Well, maybe instead of throwing away um, those vegetables because they're going bad, you could let them dry out and then you could save their seeds instead, okay? So that's one way that we can get free seeds without having to go to the store and buy a package of seeds. Another way that one of the students actually gave us an example is if you go to your yard and you find acorns growing, you can take these acorns and you can plant them and you can grow yourself a new tree, and that's absolutely free. There are acorns all over the place, especially in my yard. Now, this is kind of what it will look like once it starts to grow. This is the actual acorn, and then you'll notice that it started to try to turn into a little tree. And if you continue to let it grow instead of pulling it out of the ground like I did, then you could have a full-blown tree in your yard before you know it. Okay, so acorns. Um, Another thing we talked about was when you walk around your neighborhood, sometimes you might see a large bush of flowers, and then right next to those flowers hanging off of that same bush, you might see some flower seed pods. And so if you were to open up the pods, you can release all the seeds, and I'll show you what that looks like. You just kind of break the pod open, and then within here, I have many seeds within this one seed pod. So within this one seed pod, I have many seeds. So that's something you could find just around your own neighborhood. Now, one really easy way to grow plants is using beans. So I'll show you a variety of beans that I have. So these are a type of seed. Inside here we have an embryo, and then the outer shell of this protects it. It has food in there for the embryo. So the beans are actually seeds. So if you take a couple beans and you plant them, then you'll be happy to see yourself with a bean plant. and we're going to actually use beans to do our germination test. So I would like you to take some time and locate some beans around your house. Ask your parents maybe if you can get them to buy a bag of beans next time they go to the store. We're going to do a germination test using our beans. So other thing that we talked about is that you don't always need seeds to grow plants. So one example is our cactus here. This came off a much larger piece of a cactus, and I just left it in my garden bed, and it started to root. See the roots down here? It started to root, and then it started to grow this little baby cactus on top. And so if I were to leave this into the soil, it would continue to keep growing. And actually, I could break this off if I wanted to, and I could lay this also in my garden, and that would start to grow as well. This is what we call propagation. This is an asexual reproduction, and next time I see you, we're going to be watching a video about asexual reproduction. So cactuses aren't the only plants that we can do that with. Succulents also, and these, we call them mosquito repellent is what you'll hear a lot of people call them. So this really was just a couple cuttings off of one larger plant, one very large plant. I took a pretty large cutting off of it, larger than my hand, and I just put it in water, nothing else, just a glass of water, and then you can start seeing that the roots are growing. This is about a month of sitting in the water. And then on this one, you'll notice that towards the bottom, we even have some new leaves that are starting to grow as well as the roots growing. So if you have any of these kind of plants in your yard, you can go cut off a fairly large piece and then stick it in a cup of water. I prefer to put it in a glass container of water. That way you can see as the roots grow. You can watch that every day. So if you have anything like that, you can go ahead and cut them and watch them root, and then you can put them in the soil after they started to root. These specific plants grow all over the place, and they'll take up a large area, so only plant them somewhere where you would like a large covering of plants. Now, just about a week ago, I had took a cutting of our coleus plant. It's about the size of my hand. I want you to notice there's no leaves at the bottom of the stem. Same for this guy. No leaves towards the bottom. So this was only about a week ago. So their roots are much smaller than the other plants. But these are real quick to root, and they grow really big and brightly colored. And they'll spread very easily. You don't even need to put them in water. What I actually do at my own garden is when I break it off, instead of just putting it in the water and watching it root, you can just directly put this into your garden soil, and that will start to grow. So if you've ever seen this plant or you see it at the store, this is something fun to experiment with. It's called coleus. Another one that you might be already aware of or have some in your yard or neighborhood is rosemary. So the rosemary, you can do this two ways, just like the coleus. If you wanted, you could just stick this in water, or you could just stick it directly into the soil. Just make sure the bottom, that you took off all those bottom leaves, and you just pull down, and then the leaves will come off very easily. But don't waste the leaves because it's rosemary. They smell very good. But at this point, you could get some take root, which is root hormone, and you could stick it in there. Just dip it in and then dip it in the water, or dip it in the root grow and then dip it in the soil. Or really, you don't need to have the root hormone at all. They'll start sprouting roots all on their own without the growth hormone, but they do sell this in case you wanted to be more quickly. Another thing we went over was potatoes. So I'm sure that you guys have seen potatoes growing these little eyes on them. So potatoes, you don't even really need to get a pack of potato seeds or anything like that. You just go into your own pantry if you have some old potatoes. Um, for this potato, I had just moistened it just every once in a while and left it on my kitchen window. And at this point, since the eyes are so big, I could really go ahead and cut out each one of these eyes, each one of these separately, and plant these each in the ground. And then they could become their own potato plant. And then they'll continue to grow a large amount of potatoes. And now we're actually getting into the time of year where it'd be pretty good to start growing our potatoes. So if you have some potatoes around your house, take a minute and maybe put it aside and let it go into this budding stage. There's only one more thing I wanted to show you guys, and that is how to make a cutting from the root. So I have a very, very large plant of oregano in my yard, and it's getting almost too big. So what I do every now and then when it's getting too big is I will dig up a smaller part of the plant and I will cut the roots under the ground. So I'll have to dig it up and then get something sharp and cut the roots so it's separated from the larger plant. And you directly plant that into soil. So here's the soil in here. Or you can directly put it into a separate pot with potting soil, or you could put it into your garden directly into the ground, and it will just continue growing. And this is a good way to spread out your garden. So if you have a lot of herbs in one area, but you want them to be somewhere else, to take up some more space in another area of your garden, this is a good way to do it. You can easily transplant them to somewhere else. Now, all you really have to do, other than your Padlet, is for next class to bring some type of seed or plant that can be propagated, whether it's a potato or a rose or cactus or succulent, coleus. So try to find some kind of seeds or some kind of plant that you could propagate so we can share out and talk about that. If you have any questions, just let me know.